At a time when global frameworks and multilateralism in general fail to provide effective responses to the challenges related to international migration, but also fail to organize the benefits of regulated and legal migration, the best tools we have at hand are migration partnerships. Such partnerships are often capable of combining domestic and foreign policy priorities, and at the same time, they mitigate sometimes diverging interests of its partners. Migration partnerships, if designed and implemented in an intelligent way, can provide well-working frameworks that bring about tangible results and better policy outcomes than weak global frameworks or uncoordinated unilateral action.
I think migration partnerships is the fundament for migration cooperation between countries, and the way we can really build long-lasting and true cooperation in the long run, and have really as a fundament for efficient migration management. Although we have talked about it for such a long time, it's been part of the debate for such a long time, we are still learning about it, and we're still learning about how to achieve true migration partnerships. We talk about genuine cooperation, we talk about equal level cooperation, but the question is, what does it really mean, and how do we really get there? How do we really make sure that we can listen to our partners and understand their needs and acknowledge their needs and build those into that cooperation? But when we can manage to do that, I believe that migration partnerships is still the best way we have to achieve genuine migration cooperation.
Migration partnerships are not new, but for them to function in practice, they have to be based on mutual interests, on equal footing, and it would also help if they define specific actions to reach desired results, as well as aim to strive win-win situations. I also think there's a need to move away from the current political emphasis on cooperation on return, readmission and migrant smuggling, fighting migrant smuggling, and include other new innovative approaches such as talent partnerships, as they can create win-win situations for the parties concerned by matching skills and demand for labor.
For me, migration partnerships means how to connect the global policies on migration, the global agendas, with the regional, the national policies, plans that has been developed, and together with the local realities and how migration is managed in the day-to-day, in cities, in territories. So indeed, from the way we work on the migration partnership, it is very important for us to ensure that multi-level governance mechanisms exist, to ensure that local authorities are part of the policy dialogue at the national and international level, to ensure also that there is an horizontal communication between local authorities, civil society organizations, academia and private sector. It is these different levels of cooperation that for me represent the migration partnership.
Globally, our partners on different continents make strides to seize the benefits of human mobility by advancing partnership-based migration governance. Indeed, migration partnerships are not only a value, but more importantly, the driving force of migration governance. Partnerships drive innovation, joint solutions, and action on the ground. They offer spaces for peer-to-peer learning, capacity development, policy making, reconciliation of interests, or trust building. Partnerships help reach common understanding and consensus on divisive issues and forge a balanced narrative on migration and migrants.
Each country has its own migration priorities. Each region has its own migration priorities, whether they're fueled by the benefits of remittances or by the flow of irregular migration. Migration partnerships is about recognizing each other's priorities, validating them as important, and coming to the table as equal partners to tackle those areas of mutual interest, and those that may not be of mutual interest could be negotiated in an environment of mutual respect.
Migration partnerships means countries actually moving from dialogue to a structural, serious, pragmatic relationship on migration that means an end to deaths in people trying to come by sea, but also an opening wider of opportunities to come and work and study legally. That's what migration partnerships mean to me, put simply.
To me, the first step towards migration partnerships is to understand the complex migration and mobility ecosystems which exist within and between people, countries, regions, and routes, and to understand the operational and political realities they face. Then, on this basis, migration partnerships means to develop cooperative approaches and relationships, to share knowledge, ensure well-informed discussions and decisions, develop capacity, and essentially to build trust, inclusivity, true solidarity, agree on a shared responsibility, even if the interests may differ. And whether on counter smuggling, on social integration, or protection, what matters in migration partnerships is to achieve a common goal.
Let me briefly deconstruct the notion of migration partnerships. As the etymology of the word partner also suggests, a partnership is about being part of a whole. I would say being part of a joint venture where the profits and losses are equally shared. And then we have the word migration, which encompasses at the same time irregular migration, but also legal and skilled migration, free movement, but also return and readmission. And if we want this joint venture to be successful, then we should really think out of the box, for instance, by bringing on board the private sector, which can play a crucial role in making such joint ventures a success.
Over the years, wherever we've seen really concrete results in the way that we manage migration, they've always been anchored in some form of migration partnership. We want partnerships to be robust enough to withstand change, for partners to be committed in the good times and the bad. And for that, we really need to get to know each other. One example that always comes to mind is when border officials from a certain European country met their African counterparts, thinking that they would help build their capacities, and they quickly had to adapt because they realized that these officials knew much more than they did. This really helped to put these partners on equal footing. It forged a really strong cooperation, and it even led to friendships. So when we want to put migration partnerships into action, we need to be open to listen, learn, and adjust. This is what we want to discuss at the VMC. What is it that makes partnerships really sustainable? What is it that works and what doesn't? And what do we need to do now?